This is kind of a recent thing that I started doing about 4 months ago. The base establishment was the 9/11 event. I knew there was some kind of really grand scheme organization involved with the event itself, but I couldn't really put my finger on it. I sensed it was like a glitch in the overall composition of the universe. I really felt that there was something wrong. This is when, the elites change something. This is when they go into the matrix and they alter something that's just not correct. And I knew that the 9/11 event had that symbolism. There were just so many elaborate patterns involved that just could not, bear down to coincidence. I really started to put some of these pieces together. Any form of media, it's like an expression of, or an inspiration or a muse for human beings to create these things, and they all have a kind of symbol system that begins to really appear to have an intelligently guided hand. The world of fiction or the world of dreams kind of coinciding with reality. And like I said, the 9/11 event was the trigger point for me to really leap into this full head. When you're born, you're given this, finality or brick wall of gnosis. Turn to religion for all your questions concerning the mysteries in God. Never venture down the rabbit hole. Never look towards, the great beyond ever. But in this narrative that, people in synchro circles delve into, we really get to see the universe in action. We recognize elaborate patterns in space-time that make the entire creation seem like one big intelligently guided hologram. And when I say intelligently guided, I'm talking about like a conglomerate of intelligently evolved consciousness that humans are indeed a part of. Synchromysticism is just a recognition of the symbol system that's starting to become more and more apparent and more obvious. And it's kind of a way of just noticing the universe actually has an intelligence, and that we give it that intelligence. Once we realize our potential, the walls of the matrix start to disintegrate, and we start to actualize and know true freedom. We're really telling like the most exciting story ever told. The Burning Tower is a motif that goes on throughout history. You see it everywhere. The Burning Tower was Nostradamus' prophecy. It's not, his alone. It's a very ancient prophecy. It's happened numerous times over history. The Tower of Babel being one that comes to mind, and one of the more popular ones. And that was basically when the gods saw human beings were banding together, and they were trying to build a tower to become more evolved and to become more intelligent. And what did they do in this story? They confused everybody's language. This symbolism is incredible. This, obviously ties back to 9/11, and it seems like every time that there's an instant with the tower coming down, it's sort of like the beginning point in which the culture has a choice either to destroy itself or to create a utopia. The Atlanteans, or civilizations that came before us, they aren't here anymore. They may have had the similar choice. They may have chose for the nuclear annihilation. As time goes on and there's more civilizations that fail through this kind of repeating loop, the Akashic records, or whatever you want to call them, sort of build up, and the civilizations of future times get to use those Akashic records to try to avoid the catastrophe. They have more of a more vast library of psychokinetic books to read. I don't want to keep recruiting the Matrix, but the architect told me basically that this is the 6th revision of the Matrix. Now we see fiction blending with reality with events like 9/11. It's the ultimate metaphor. My particular angle on the phenomenon via Synchromysticism is to pick out patterns in the collective consciousness and pop culture as to why these topics are being talked about at all. The science behind it's not even what is so amazing to me. It's actually that we're talking about it. Cities being built as ritual centers, and how there's zodiacs inscribed in certain cities, all in a magical pretext or context. Cities like Phoenix and cities like Washington, D.C. that have all of this kind of Egyptian symbolism and, zodiac symbolism, and even, Manhattan Island as it represents sort of the mound of the Masonic tracing group. These sites are actually more vulnerable to these mass-scale rituals, and I consider 9/11 to be the most massive magical ritual ever undertaken and successfully, for what its purposes were, to successfully have rendered it. And so, if like tomorrow there was a nuclear attack on Phoenix, or there's a nuclear attack on Washington, D.C., it wouldn't be so odd to me, because these places are designed to absorb energy and to absorb sort of a negative or sort of be the false side. It just boils down to the symbolism behind the incredible symbolism that's going on right now. And it all has to coincide with the ascension process that human beings are going through right now. As we move into Ophiuchus and we move into this kind of galactic alignment of 2012, people are going to start really, having a reawakening. And then all this stuff is going to get more and more bizarre and amazing until it cuts to the melting point where everybody just has to realize that there's more truth in these phenomena